Hello everyone, I'm Joseph Steenheisen, and my presentation is on the Brothers Grimm. Jacob Grimm was born in 1785 and lived to 1863, while his younger brother Wilhelm was born a year after Jacob in 1786 and lived to 1859. Jacob and Wilhelm's parents were Philip and Dorothea Grimm. Philip Grimm was a lawyer from the University of Marburg and was a town clerk in their home of Hanau. Hanau County belonged to the Landgrave of Hesse Castle. Due to some dynastic trouble, Hanau became a separate state from 1736 to 1786. As you can see, Jacob and Wilhelm were born just as Hanau was undergoing a massive political change, which could explain why later in life they both became political activists. Following in their father's footsteps, both Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm studied law at the University of Marburg. It was while they were there that they met Clemens Brentano and Friedrich von Savigny, both of whom inspired an unknown love of poetry. Unfortunately for Wilhelm, health issues were proven to be an obstacle in finding employment. It wasn't until 8 years after school that he found himself a position as a secretary at the Elector's Library and Castle. During that time, Jacob did important work in historical linguistics and philology. He did research on legal manuscripts of the Middle Ages and became librarian to the King of Westphalia in 1808. In 1815, Jacob accepted a position at the Elector's Library and Castle with his brother. Here is a picture of a painting of Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm taken by their brother. In 1807, Jacob and Wilhelm gathered stories from anyone who would tell them from as many diverse places as they could go. While both of them helped in the development of the tales, Jacob was the structural writer of the stories. Wilhelm was responsible for editing and rewriting them. Some commonly known stories of theirs are Cinderella, Rumpelstiltskin, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, Hansel and Gretel, The Frog Prince, commonly known as The Princess and the Frog, and children's and household tales. Here is a picture I found of one of the common known stories of Little Red Riding Hood. While the tales written by Jacob and Wilhelm were dark and intended for adults, there are many admirable themes that come from them. Cunning and cleverness are very common themes in the Brothers Grimm's tales and are often used both in stories and in reality. The trivial importance of appearances, also, is a good tale to tell, as many of us know not to judge a book by its cover. Other common themes that show up are justice and judgment, obedience, and society and class. Many of their well-known stories contain issues of society and class, and perhaps they targeted this area because of their having been born in a time of political conflict in Hanau. Toward the end of their lives, both Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm received employment at the University of Göttingen. While working there, the threat of the abolition of the liberal constitution caused both brothers to become political activists who protested this abolition whenever they could. When Jacob and Wilhelm were asked to sign a pledge of loyalty to the king, they refused and lost their jobs at the university. Other protesters along with them were also fired and some even deported. They still continued to write stories, but constantly needed the help and money of their close friends. 5 years later, in 1840, Jacob and Wilhelm moved to Berlin and were offered positions as lecturers at the Royal Academy of Science. Long after Jacob's death in 1863 and Wilhelm's death in 1859, their stories continue to influence us and our way of thinking. To this day, parents use their stories as cautionary tales towards their children. Many others are also told these stories for the rich content and for the morals and values that are portrayed in these tales. Since the beginning of film, their stories have been replicated and used by authors and screenwriters in different adaptations of their tales. The brothers Grimm have truly gone down in history as the authors to some of the most well-known stories in the world. This picture I found was a perfect description of what it is like to be told tales by your parents. I hope you all enjoyed my presentation. I left my sources and email address at the bottom so that those of you with feedback could let me know how to better improve my presentation skills and the content I present. Thank you.